Calm down, buddy. Jeez. Nah, we would have been boxing. And if I slap you, I'm wrong. If you want to leave, leave. Ain't nobody gonna stop you. Oop-dee-doo. Hello, little enzymes. Welcome back to Dacia's Digest. Today's episode is about how to spot the red flags in dating. Everything will be included in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hype the video. You get 3 hypes per week. And let's get into it. Me, 25 female with boyfriend, 31 male. Are these red flags or just adjusting to each other? Together 3 months. I refer to my boyfriend as X. To put things into context, he comes from a powerful and wealthy family in my city, relevant later. Things started off peachy. He was always affable, pleasant, and accommodating. However, I'm starting to realize certain issues which have me questioning everything. And then she lists out 8 different instances. Mind you, they've been together 3 months. She said, incident 1, he got mad at me because he felt I wasn't appreciating an expensive present. He got me a specialized tech gadget which cost about $4,000. I was a bit surprised by it as I'd never mentioned any inclination towards this gadget. I'm not very techie at all, and he'd never asked me about it. Also, this gadget is something which requires a lot of time and practice to use. To be honest, I was also very concerned that it had cost so much. If I had known, I would have just told him to get me something less expensive. Anyway, I still thanked him and said that I appreciated it very much. A week or so later, he asks me if I had used it yet, to which I answered no, but I would eventually get around to it. He got upset and repeatedly asked me if he had just wasted his time and effort and money and told me that if that was the case, I should just dump the thing. Calm down, buddy. Jeez. Incident 2, he blew up at me when I was at the gym at midnight. Fitness is very important to me, so I always make sure to go to the gym consistently. I usually go right after work, which ends at 6 p.m. However, sometimes life happens. Friends want to meet up, overtime, dinner, I get distracted, reading or watching videos, etc., and I go later. One day, I went at 10:30 p.m. Before I left, I told him I was heading to the gym, and he said okay. Then silence, so I assumed he was doing his own thing, and off I went and had a good workout. I was done around 12 a.m., checked my phone, and there was 12 missed calls from him. I immediately called him back and was met by him yelling at me, demanding to know why I hadn't been answering my phone. Didn't I know what sort of impression it was giving for me to be around other half-naked, sweaty guys this late? He was too old to be chasing his girl around in the middle of the night, etc. I was honestly shocked at this because even when we started dating, I would tell him when I went to the gym, even late, and he didn't seem to have any issues. Yeah, this is a huge red flag. This is a huge red flag. There's no trust. Then he talking about the impression being around quote unquote half naked sweaty guys. Sir, she's at the gym. If you want to go too, I mean, get up. But come on now. And she was only offline for an hour and a half. I'd be in the gym for like 2 hours. I'd be in the gym just dilly-dallying away. I could spend like 3 hours in the gym if I wanted to, for real. I like to take my time. But this and 3 months in, yeah. Incident 3, he told me he didn't feel attractive nor desirable when I asked if we could reschedule to 1 hour later. We planned to meet up on Saturday afternoon. On Friday night, he called me and we ended up talking on the phone till pretty late, around 3 a.m. Because of that, I overslept on Saturday and woke up late. I texted him telling him I overslept and I would probably be taking an hour or so more to come over. He told me that he felt I didn't seem interested in him or our relationship anymore and that he was the only enthusiastic one. I tried to tell him that it wasn't the case. I just needed some more me time. It's the weekend and my only time to sleep in. But he told me he didn't feel loved in this relationship and that we didn't see each other enough. Context, we usually see each other one day during the work week and I spend the weekend at his. Okay. I mean, that one isn't too much of a red flag to me because I could see how, not given the totality of the situation, that might make somebody feel a certain way. At the same time though, y'all was on the phone till 3 a.m. So, sir, how much of OP's time do you really want? All of it? That's what it sounds like. Incident 4. He told me I was going to get us into a fight. We were getting ice creams, we were laughing, and everything was going great. We were sitting in the ice cream parlor, and he playfully put his hand on my knee, which I don't mind. I actually find that pretty cheeky and cute. Then he started to move his hand higher up my thigh, to which I told him to stop. I was still smiling and laughing. He didn't, though, and I said stop, cut it out. But he still kept going. We would have been boxing, because I done told you to stop twice, sir. And if I slap you, I'm wrong. If I deck you in the face, I'm wrong. How many, after the first time, you should have stopped. How many times somebody got to say stop? She said he still kept going. I told him I was going to yell, and I said, stop, loudly. Immediately, the whole mood dropped, and he told me that I could have gotten us into a fight. What if someone had reacted badly and attacked him, and he retaliated, and everyone could have gotten into trouble? What? And if you hadn't have stopped and that happened, then, sorry, buddy. If you would have gotten your ass beat, then maybe that would have been a necessary consequence of your actions. I don't know. If you're asking me what if. Incident 5. He got mad when I talked to another guy. We went on a holiday recently and signed up for a tour, which was 8 to 9 hours. Pretty long time to be spending with the same bunch of people, all going to the same places and doing the same things together. On the same tour was another guy, I'll call him A, around our age who was traveling alone, and X and him got talking about guy stuff, work, sports, current issues, etc., and they seemed to like each other really well. I was happy that X had made a friend and they were getting along, and I just chilled and let him be. At the end of the tour, when we were heading back, I also got into the conversation with A about what he thought of the tour, what else he was going to do on the trip, etc. All along my conversation, X kept butting into the conversation, asking me abrupt, irrelevant questions completely unrelated to the context of my conversation with A, so I wasn't very responsive as I was engaged in my conversation. When we got back, X told me that he felt I had ignored him and was more interested in A than I was spending time with him. You got to be kidding. How old are these people? You got to be kidding me. It doesn't say. This man is extremely insecure. I mean, you're right there, sir. You act like she off in the man's hotel room late at night having cocktails, having a 2-piece spicy. Like, you're literally right there. And she's just asking him questions about the tour, about the trip. That would have pissed me off. That would have annoyed me so bad. She said he also said that if we had been back home, he would have told A to get lost so that the two of us could just spend time together. But because we were here in a foreign country, if A had reacted badly and they had gotten into a fight, and all of us ended up in a police station, we would be screwed because nobody knew of him nor his family in this place. Oh my gosh. That is his whole personality. That's why he's so insecure. His whole personality is money and his family name. So anytime he can't flex that, or anytime he feels like he can't use that as a bargaining chip, then he's insecure because he ain't got nothing else to offer but his money and his family name. Sir, develop a good personality. Engage in a hobby. Yeah. Start working out. Develop a fashion sense. I don't know. Do something more. Offer something more. Incident number 6. He was getting me to apply sunblock on him because he, quote, didn't want to get his hands dirty, end quote. It started off as him asking me to put sunblock on his back. I'm okay helping him with that because he can't reach it himself. And then he just told me that I should go on and do the rest, which I found kind of funny and princessy of him, so I did. But by the 3rd day of our trip, I was getting tired of it and told him that he should just sunblock himself. I would help him with his back if he couldn't reach, but he could damn well do the rest on his own. He said, but my hands will get dirty. I would be immediately unattracted to this man. My hands will get dirty from sunscreen? Immediately no. She said I responded, oh, so it's okay for me to get my hands dirty, but not okay for you. He made a face and said, well, this is new. I've never dated a girl like this. She said I still stuck to my guns though and did not apply sunblock on the rest of him. Incident number 7. He told me that my past bothered him, When I was younger, I was very sheltered and very religious. A few years ago, I realized I had no clue about dating or being physically intimate, etc. As a result, I ended up hooking up casually for a while before realizing that casual isn't for me, and I focused on purely dating to know someone better without rolling around on the mattress, and focusing on looking for lasting relationships. I was honest with X about this, that I went through this phase of casual hookups before I met him, which you didn't even have to tell him, to be honest. Because why? Anyway, she said at the time when I shared this with him, he seemed okay and told me that he had also done similarly when in the college phase. However, we were talking about it again recently, and he told me that it's different for guys than it is for girls, and that he felt that what I had done was bothersome to him. I countered that I had been honest, it was a while ago, and I am happy and comfortable with the person I am today, regardless of anything in the past. And if this was an issue for him, he should not have gotten into a relationship with me. In fact, I told him that if this was something he couldn't get past, then he could go ahead and move on right away. Facts. Because at this point, it's, the things are adding up. Like, sir, if you want to leave, leave. Ain't nobody gonna stop you. Incident number 8. He sort of broke up with me, but ended up not going through with it. When I told him that he could go ahead and move on if he couldn't get past my sexual history, he paused for a while, then said, "Well, I did try." To which I wasn't sure if this was him asking for a breakup, so I asked, "Does this mean we're done?" And he said, "I guess." He started to leave, and I told him, "Take care and all the best." As he was going about gathering his stuff, he kept saying things like, "I'm sorry we couldn't make it work. I did really have a good time," etc., etc. And I said, "You don't have to apologize or try to make me feel better. It's fine, really." He hesitated and said, "Are we both sure that this is what we both want?" I said to him, "Well, it seems like it's what you want." To which he said, "No, it's not what I want. I thought it's what you wanted." Which I said, I meant that if he couldn't get past my history, he could go ahead and move on, but otherwise I was willing to continue our relationship. We eventually ended up not breaking up. After that, he told me that it bothered him that I could have let things go so easily. So I don't know. Am I just being irrational, or is this legit? Are we still getting used to each other, and can we make this work? Please help me figure out if these are red flags or I'm being illogical. I wish I had a red flag here, because if I had one, I would be waving it vigorously in the air. Every single thing she mentioned here was a red flag, in my opinion. And if you're in a relationship and your partner is doing anything remotely similar to any of these things, you might have to let that go. He's clearly insecure, clearly problematic, clearly slightly controlling, and they're only 3 months in. That's the part that makes it even worse, because it's just going to get even worse. 3 months and this and all of this, that's pretty scary. The escalation is real. Someone said, "You've been dating 3 months and have 8 examples of him acting a fool, being jealous, getting mad for no reason, and one of them is a breakup." Yes, honey, yes. These flags are so red. Dump him. Someone else said, "Yeah, this is a collection of red flags. I say there's a bit of love bombing too, with expensive gifts to create a sense of indebtedness, not to mention the pushing of boundaries. This guy is all kinds of nope." Opie responded, "You're right. In fact, being with him has me questioning now everything which I used to do so regularly and openly. Sleeping in, going to the gym, grabbing lunch with a platonic single guy friend, etc. I find myself asking if he would be okay with this, or would he get upset if I did it. I also find myself constantly checking my phone because I worry if he texts me and I take too long before replying. For example, if I was occupied at work, having a conversation with someone, or working out, or if he happens to call and I don't pick up, in case he gets worked up and flies into a rage." And then she also added a comment about the relationship. "He's never been physically violent, but when he's mad, he gets really outraged and shouts to express himself. It really disturbs and upsets me, as I believe that things can always be resolved. by calmly discussing and talking through issues to come up with a resolution, not yelling and losing one's temper. I'm supposed to go on a hike and lunch with a platonic guy friend next weekend, and even this has got me anxious as to whether X would take contention with it when I tell him that I would also like to spend my weekend with another person, a guy more so. But she said, also, you're right. Once when we were out, I bumped into a guy friend of mine whom I hadn't seen in a long time, so I smiled and waved. As soon as we had passed, X turned to me and started making all sorts of comments like, I'm better looking than him anyway. I drive a nice car. I probably have a better background and family than him. He also said that it was inconsiderate of me to be excited over another guy when I was on a date with my boyfriend. Yeah, he got to go. He's got to go. She made an update 6 weeks later. After making the post, I reevaluated the relationship and how to talk with X. Against my better judgment, I decided to give him another chance. Anyway, I'll get to the incident, which was the straw that broke the camel's back. Last Sunday, I inquired whether we could spend the coming Friday night together so we could get an early start to the weekend. He replied that he would let me know how his schedule worked with that. The following day, Monday, I received a dinner invite for Friday from a bunch of good friends. Since X hadn't confirmed with me on his schedule yet, I assumed things were still up in the air with him, so I accepted the invitation. I informed X that I would be doing dinner with my friends, so I would be meeting him a couple of hours later than I had initially suggested. He flipped out on me. He yelled and screamed at me on the phone, cursing me out and demanding to know who was so freaking important I was going to meet. He asked me if a frivolous dinner with mere friends meant more to me than spending time with my significant other. Actually, yes, sir. Actually, yes. She said I responded that, of course, I valued my significant others. However, there were other people I also liked to have in my life. He told me I could go and date those people then. You ain't got to tell me twice. She said he went on at how I was incredibly disrespectful towards his time and that I was jerking him around. I told him that I didn't see how that counted as being disrespectful of his time since it was only Monday and the invite was for Friday. I was keeping him updated of the dinner way in advance so that he could plan his time for those couple of hours. It wasn't as though I was pushing plans back at the very last minute or even canceling on him. I told him that in my perspective, since he had yet to get back to me on his schedule, I had the impression that we weren't confirmed, hence accepted the invite. I also told him that from my point of view, when I make plans with someone for the whole weekend and they push things back a couple of hours, for whatever reason, it wouldn't be a big deal to me, so I didn't see why he was being so drastic. He then said to enjoy myself with my friends and that he hoped the dinner would be worth the cost of our relationship. I responded, okay, yeah, this guy gotta go. This is like textbook emotional manipulation, controlling, what do they call it when they try to, alienation, when they try to like separate you from your friends and your other relationships and take up all of your time and don't want you going with other people. And he's doing too much. Like, at the very least, he's being annoying. She said there's still some stuff that both of us have at each other's places, though, so we're meeting up later this week to return things. And then 5 days after that, she said, just an update, the exchange went smoothly. As per suggestions of all here, I went with a friend who's a semi-pro MMA fighter. X seemed pretty upset and was being really nice to me and wanted to hug it out when we met. I grabbed my stuff, dropped his, and noped out of there. P.S. I gave that $4,000 thingamajig back. Not interested in keeping any remnants of him around, nor giving any possible reason for him to contact me again in the future. Well, that's great. This was back in 2017, y'all. So the next story. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend because he forgot me at the airport? I, 28 female, have been in a long distance relationship for about 5 months with Eric fake name. He lives in a town that either takes 12 hours to drive to, 7 hours by train, or an hour flight. Valentine's Day was coming up, so I bought a flight to go see him so we could spend a week together and celebrate together. When I got up in the morning, I started sending him snaps of me getting to the airport and about being excited to see him. When I got to the airport, I messaged him that I would see him in a bit, but there was no reply. This is when my gut feeling started telling me something was off, but I pushed it away, hoping that I was just overreacting. When I landed, I messaged him that I would see him soon, but no reply. I was still hoping so hard. Did you not try to call them? Because if I'm texting somebody and they not replying, and I know that I'm on the way to go see them, my next reaction would be to call. Because maybe the phone is on silent or something, maybe he forgot to set an alarm. So, did you try that? She said, I was still hoping so hard. When the arrivals door opened, I was so hopeful that he was there, but in the end, I was heartbroken to see that he wasn't. I felt so undervalued and embarrassed because I started crying in a corner of the airport. Now, if you don't open that Uber app and get to where you need to go, come on now. I'm sorry. Crying in the airport. You're 28. I'm gonna let you have it. Everybody does things differently. She said, I had only come to this city to see him and I was staying with him. So what was I gonna do? I called him over and over to no reply and then decided, F him. I'm gonna go do my own thing. So she did end up trying to call him. She said, I ended up at a pub drinking tea, and after about an hour there, he messaged me, not called, but sent me a damn message. His excuse was that he had fallen asleep and that he was sorry. I honestly felt so betrayed because how can I not be worth setting a dang alarm? In the end, I ended up staying with him because I couldn't afford a hotel or to change my flight, and that's what I found out. He was staying up at night playing video games. When I got home, I decided I couldn't be with someone who undervalues me so much and broke up with him. At the time, he agreed, but now he sent me a love letter declaring his love and that he's sorry for everything and doesn't want to lose me. I feel like I'm overthinking things and just need some advice. Did I overreact to him not picking me up at the airport? Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend because he forgot me at the airport? Edit to clarify, we made these plans together 2 months before I left. He was well aware of when and where I was arriving, and he was the one who offered to come get me. Secondly, I posted here about this now because I just received the love letter today. In my opinion, I would be very upset if my man, who I don't have, let's be clear, didn't come to get me. I don't think I would break up over that unless this was like a pattern of behavior. So she hasn't mentioned any other things that he's done. If this is like an isolated event, I definitely feel like he could come back from that. People oversleep all the time. Have you ever overslept trying to get to work or, been late to an event or something like that? Like, it happens. But if this always happens, then I would be looking at him sideways. Like if this was just like the icing on the cake, then yeah, he a goner. But if not, whoop-de-doo. I am obsessed with that. Whoop-de-doo. Yeah, I think it could be worked through for sure. He gonna have to do more than a love letter. But I mean, obviously he still want you. So you might, that doesn't, and not saying that you have to get back with somebody just because they want you, but he looks like he's willing to, work through some things. So as long as y'all can get on the same page and nothing like this happens again, y'all gonna be straight. And then some of OP's comments, someone asked how they met. She said he is originally from my city, so he comes here often to see his family. We met online and spent a couple of weeks dating before he went off to university, so mostly long distance, I guess. Another comment, does he have a visit coming up? Because it sounds like he waited almost 7 months since you broke up with him to try to get you back. I wouldn't be surprised if he's just trying to reactivate your relationship for when he's visiting. She said, yeah, he's coming home for a holiday in a couple of weeks, so you have a great point there. Okay. Okay. So he just trying to cook up a 2-piece spicy. Let me find out the love letter was him putting in his order. Let me find out. Let me find out. Someone else said, think of all the effort you went through and think about whether or not he would actually do the same on his own without prompting from you or anyone else. I think you know the answer based on his current actions, or rather inaction. Wishing you the best, OP, because you deserve better. She said, thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is making me feel more sure about my decision. I also found out that he hadn't bothered to get me a pillow or a blanket. He had to get it from some friends until after he woke up and messaged me that he fell asleep. He knew I was coming for weeks. Commenter that got downvoted said, was this the only mistake he ever made in your relationship, or is it pretty normal for you to feel forgotten? Dude fell asleep one time. If that's all it takes, then I suspect the relationship didn't have much going for it. And it's funny that this person got downvoted, because that was my same sentiment. Like, is this the only thing or what? Because it did seem a bit drastic to break up over not picking up somebody from the airport. I'm sorry. And me, look, don't ask me to pick, unless you're my sister, one of my siblings, maybe one of my best friends, maybe, or my man that I don't have yet. Don't ask me to pick you up from the airport, especially here. Actually, in Austin, I would do it. Probably, maybe. In Dallas, I think I've done it a couple times. Here in LA, don't ask me to pick you up from the airport, actually. Please. I've had a friend need a ride to the airport, and I spent $75 on an Uber just for them, so I wouldn't have to take them to the airport. I'll do that, but don't ask me to drive up in that godforsaken place. Please. I'm not doing it. But in this case, I mean, this was like pre-planned. He offered, he didn't come through, he made a mistake, and that's why I was saying, is there a track record? The OP responded, no, I guess this has happened once before when he was visiting here. His family is from here. We had a date and he left me waiting for 2 hours before showing up. He said he had to help his little sister, which I respected because I'm a big sister of 5 who is very protective of my siblings. I had honestly forgotten about this until you just asked. Damn. Now, it's adding up, isn't it? And it's not looking good for the boy, because you couldn't have called me as you're going to help the sister to let me know and then left her waiting 2 hours. It's not, no, that's strike 2, and he would really be on thin ice. Someone said, so that happened in February and he just sent you a letter now in September? Opie said, yes, it came a little out of the blue for me too. And then another comment that got downvoted, so why didn't you just take the bus over to his place instead of creating all this drama over him oversleeping? Opie responded, because as soon as I mentioned it, he said he would pick me up. This was the first time I was flying to him. I didn't think to ask for his address after he said he would come get me. So to answer your question, I didn't know where he lived. And then almost a year later, she has an update. It says cringe update. Just to be clear, the cringe is me. Hilariously dumb, but cringe all the same. I've hesitated to post this because if it gets back to him, he'll definitely know it's about him. So it's been almost a year since I, 29 female, posted my story about breaking up with my ex, 28 male, and I just wanted to give a quick thank you to everyone who reached out and reality checked me. I needed it. Y'all are the bomb. On to my update. So I took y'all's advice-ish and stuck to my guns about being broken up. But I'm the kind of person who hates being the bad guy, so I told him we could still be friends and he accepted. Looking back, I definitely think he was hoping for another chance. We kept hanging out every so often, and it was a good time. A couple of weeks go by, and I met someone new, and I wanted to do the right thing and tell my ex in person. So after a hangout, I'm walking with him to the bus, nervous as heck because I hate confrontation, and I'm thinking, crap, it's now or never. So I took a deep breath and proceeded. So I wanted to tell you something because I wanted to be honest with you. Ex, looking a bit nervous. Okay. I wanted to let you know that I've started seeing someone and give you a heads up. Ex, silence. Now starting to rub his head and looking sad. Then he said, I had a nightmare last night where you told me you were dating someone and now this happens. I had no idea what to say to that. I blacked out. I have no idea what came over me, but I proceeded to raise my hands and give jazz hands and say in a kind of choked off small voice, "You have powers." I'm weak. You have powers. Oh, man. She said, now to this day, I still don't know why the F I did what I did, and it still cracks me up. I mean, where the heck did that come from? My friends think it's hilarious, and my mom just gave me a high five while laughing. My ex just turned around and walked into the darkness, and I haven't seen or heard from him since. I guess I unlocked a secret hack in the game of life. I hope y'all enjoy this story as much as I do. The end. Oh my goodness. Well, that's pretty much the rest of that. Let's go to the palate cleanser. It's this little boy on Instagram. He's sitting in a car seat, and his mom, I think his mom is about to drop him off somewhere, and you'll be able to hear the audio, but the text on screen says, POV, your toddler is a fully grown adult who pays taxes and has a 401k. And it'll make sense with how he's like responding to his mom or whoever this is.
I'll walk in with you today?
No.
Why?
Yes.
Cause why?
Yes.
I'm gonna go into preschool with you, okay? I'll take you in.
No.
Why?
I don't do it all by myself. I will be okay.
Why do you want to go in by yourself?
Because.
Mama will be so sad if she don't get to go.
Oh, fine. You can go in with me.
You want me to?
Fine, that is.
He said, girl, I tried to tell you.
Why don't you want Mama to go in with you?
I said, okay.
Hey, like, girl, you did all this trying to convince me. Okay, fine, let's go. That's hilarious. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, little enzymes. I will see you in the next video.